You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
Uh-oh.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to Geek Nerd Tech, the show where we break down nerd culture, tech news from a black and brown geek perspective. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined, as always, by my man, Achilles Shine.
Yes, sir, man. Life is good.
How you doing?
Excellent, man. Sunny California, good weather.
It was beautiful yesterday, beautiful today.
Yes, sir, man.
Not a day to be inside in front of your computer or in front of your television.
Man, you got to be out and about on a day like this. How about yourself, man? How was your weekend?
It was good. Friends in town, did a little everything else, a little Book of Mormon, a little sipping.
Yeah.
A little,
Just hanging out.
Had a good time.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we were off last week. Yeah. So we've missed a week, and there's a lot of tech news and a lot of nerd stuff that's stacked up. But let's get caught up as best we can. Lots to talk about on the tech side, the video game side, the nerd culture side, big movies happening as well. But let's get some tech stuff. One of our favorites, Google Glass.
Yeah.
We like the verdict. We talked a lot about Google Glass probably in 17 shows. We probably talked about Google Glass 15 of them.
Seriously.
But why stop now? So Google Glass is now, I don't say the verdict is in because it's still early in the technology. And I think the idea of the promise of what, that wearable technology could be is still yet to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And the fact that Google did come up with this technology is fantastic. But the critics are kind of like, Google's is kind of having a little PR issue.
Yeah, man. They're getting a bad rap. Like, it's a lot of backlash. Not the warm reception that they hope for. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are ambivalent about it in the sense that, I think a lot of people think that it erodes their privacy. Like, you have this device on your face that takes photos, that records. Like, people don't know what you're doing with it. So it kind of like puts people on guard. They feel threatened. So, yeah, the ambivalency is high.
Yeah, when you walk up and you have a thing on your face, it's like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Like, is that shit on?
Are you scanning me?
Right.
Are you taping me? So, and they may not be wrong. The funny thing is, there's a Google search. If you Google Glass is, like, it comes up, stupid. Is it worth it? Blurry, doomed, dead, bad, a failure, awesome. That's like the 10th one down. Ugly and too expensive.
That's horrible.
So they got one awesome out of like 15. So that's not a good look on Google. I feel like you think Google would like manipulate that search a little bit,
Man,
help themselves out.
The narrative thus far is not a positive thing. Like, so
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, as it unfolds and more people have the device and it becomes more fashionable. I think that's a big part of it too. Like, it's not fashionable. It looks really geeky. Like, it doesn't fit into the coolness of what it should be.
No. And the main issues, and there's a lot of issues. The main issues are the fashion factor, what people call the fashion factor, the development factor, because there's not much out for it yet, specifically. So the applications are still
limited.
Unknown, are limited. There's a social factor, like, in San Francisco, especially. We talked about that woman who got
In the bar.
beat down, snatched off her face, or like ostracized because she's one of those tech people. So we'll see what happens, but it's a rough start for Google Glass. But speaking of Google, they are making some other moves. Now we in the wireless department, because people talked a lot about when Google was developing phones, and the whole notion was like, well, Google's not going to get into the carrier game. They're going to stick into the hardware game. But it looks as if that may be not the case.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to build their business around someone else's infrastructure. So that they're looking to collaborate with Sprint or Verizon so that they can, use their consumer base and essentially their resource to tap into people, be it through their, whatever it is that Google does with, their products and services.
Right.
So
So the critics are already sort of afraid because it's one of these things where all the Silicon Valley guys are usually ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. So, although it's like reminds me of Facebook and the drones, right?
Right.
What's going on there?
Oh, you hear it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Facebook and the drones. It's like, Mark Zuckerberg just bought a bunch of drones. They bought
Right.
a drone developing company. And it's like, on one hand, it's like, I just want to bring Wi-Fi to the world. But it's like, wait a minute, Facebook has drones in the air.
It's crazy.
Like, what's it? So same thing with this. Like, Google's like, hey, we just want to, give wireless, service to everyone. But what does that mean if Google has access to, they control their own network?
Yeah.
Not only do they control the content,
Right.
they control the methodology in which you search and everything, and a lot of other things they're doing. They have some hardware they're doing, but now they're controlling the network itself. What does that say for long term and content and everything else?
Well, I think for like the bigger companies, it scares them. But I don't think that it's Google's intention currently to have their own network. That's why I think they want to, build these alliances with, like I said, the Sprints or the Verizons of the world. But I think, like I said, that's giving them a little bit of an uncomfortable feel, because if Google say, hey, we are gonna build our own network,
Right.
like that would be a huge powerhouse,
Right.
like what you alluded to, like having all those touch points.
But I don't understand the difference. I mean, I understand the difference either, because I feel like that's more of a PR play for them to say, we're going to partner with Verizon and
Right,
Sprint.
right.
Like, Google can just do it.
You're right.
Like they can,
You're right.
But I think it's more of a thing like, oh, we don't want to take over the world. We're going to partner with existing companies. Well, you won't even know we're there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see about that. I'm very dubious of it. Half the things, I would say 2/3 of the things that we cover on this show, of this story, we've done 18 shows now. 2/3 of what we cover on the show scares the ish out of me, terrifies me. I'm like, oh, that's not a good idea.
Man.
That's not a good idea. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong about that.
Yeah, I hear you.
You get that hum there, Marissa? Is that what's happening there? Do you know? Me, my computer?
Yes, your computer.
All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. We're still rolling. It's our own technical difficulties here. Where am I? Oh. Well, so that's what we'll do. But speaking of that, we have a faster Wi-Fi is supposedly in the horizon.
We need
for
it, bruh.
Aside from Google, the FCC has now, cleared up space to be able to do open up the airways for faster Wi-Fi and internet, which is, that's something that we've been waiting for a long time.
A long time.
Other countries have it,
Yeah.
and
It's time, man. Like, I mean, having more access to Wi-Fi is going to relieve, congestion, and it's going to make, a faster connection for everyone. I think that is going to be huge. It's going to be key. Like, imagine when you're in the airport or you're somewhere and, your connection is slow. And like having more speed, that technology, whatever, is going to push that speed is going to, make things more efficient and just make, the access to the information more accessible to everyone.
Well, we talked about this before. Like, we're like 35th in speeds in Wi-Fi
world.
and download, and
It's
we're
terrible.
like whatever else, and we're the USA. So, now hopefully this will be able. But why this is also great is because it opens the door for more innovation, so other entrepreneurs and companies can figure out ways that we haven't thought about to be able to utilize these airwaves.
Yeah.
So, and the Wi-Fi capabilities are, we're seeing things all the time, like even small things like Southwest Airlines now has free Wi-Fi on the planes before, where they allow you to keep all your devices on, except for landing and takeoff, which is great. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I think too, when you're in a huge, urban landscape, we take it for granted. But imagine the places that don't have that speed already, and just to have that boost, it's gonna do a lot of wonders for those type of communities.
Right.
So providing more infrastructure, providing more access, which is gonna make people smarter and make business run more efficient. I mean, hey,
I hope
we'll
so.
see. We'll see.
I know. I hope so. I think so. I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what will become of the innovation wise. But speaking of innovation, Apple. This happens every time. Apple is working on the iPhone 6. There's some information leaked about the iPhone 6 that there may be you get a choice between a 4.5-inch screen and a larger 5.7-inch screen, a bit larger screen. But the big news is that there's some photos allegedly of the new iPhone 6 that got leaked online. Now we have them up here if you're watching on YouTube, and it's kind of blurry because it's off a screen, and it may or may not be the actual iPhone, but.
Bro, it's totally not the iPhone. It's an April Fool's joke, man. Like, look at this screenshot. What is this? This is Windows. This is Windows XP. So they're designing something on Windows XP?
Yes.
Okay. They're designing a Mac product on Windows. I don't believe it.
You think it's real?
Not at all, man.
It's still like, I think it's April Fool's joke because we're still early in April. However, it's been people are running with it, and then like it's been kind of like, I mean, it hasn't been denied, and the fact there's no real. Strong denial from Apple can be one of two things. Could mean either like they are laughing at us,
Man, they're definitely laughing at us.
or
ugly. What is this line?
Well, supposedly that is it's a hard aluminum back, which is what they say they're going to do. It's a larger screen to compete with all the Galaxy devices. It's thinner. These are all the things that are rumored, and so there's now a picture of it. So
I think
out. Though.
I think this might be Apple's way of using misinformation. I think, hey, let's send this out just to get the conversation started, but like let's really shock the world.
Right.
It could be that.
I feel like that it's one of these things where every time there's always a leak. It's a leak. So I don't know if this is a PR thing by Apple. Like every time, like it just feels at this stage of the game, it's like, oh,
here comes the leak.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. And it's an old PR trick, like old school, like from whatever. But we'll see. I mean, maybe it's real, maybe it's not.
I'm excited about it. Whatever it is, I'm excited to see what Apple does with the 6.
I just got my, and I'm not going to complain because I go on every other cycle, so I always go on the G's. So when the 4 came out, I wait for the 4G. When the 5 came out, I wait for the or the S.
4S, yeah.
I wait for the 4S. And now 5S is what I have now. So I guess the 6 is coming out in September.
Right.
So
allegedly.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can switch to the 6.
I'm
an early adopter, but like I don't know. That's quick. So we'll see.
See, well, I'll probably have the 6 day one because I don't have the 5.
Oh, you didn't go 5?
Nah.
You stayed 4S.
Exactly.
That's right. You stayed 4S.
Yeah.
But you got the new iPad.
I do.
I don't.
Yeah.
So that'll catch up. We'll alternate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's interesting. So, speaking of Apple, there is a Steve Jobs. There's an email that has surfaced from Steve Jobs and talking about sort of the future of TV. Now there was this whole, and if you read the Walter Isaacson great Walter Isaacson book, if you haven't read it, on the biography of Steve Jobs, it's fantastic. One of the things that he talks about is the next thing that Steve wanted to really handle was television.
Absolutely.
Like he wanted to crack TV. Now if that means hardware like the Apple television itself, or if that meant like new ways in. But yeah, he talked about, there's an email where he specifically talked about like subscriptions and apps for television and the magic wand, which is sort of crazy, this remote situation that people are speculating. What do you think?
That's one thing that I think would make Apple TV really cool if that magic wand element was added, because when you want to search for something on the Apple TV, you have to plug in every letter, and you have to you have to use the the basic scrolling versus a magic wand. You're using hand gestures, movement to navigate your way through whatever program you want to use, and I think that would make just the user experience much better. But I just think it's interesting, reading through his email, it'll show the brilliance of him, but also the tone of it. It sounds like, he pinpointed in the email that Google was, their major kind of like competitor.
Right.
And it sounded like he was scared. It sounded like, man, we have to do this. This is the war. We're battling Google. Like we have to catch up.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting to me.
And what's interesting to me about that is Google is not in the hardware business.
Right.
Google is in there, but I think what he's talking about is a cultural war.
Right.
And when you think of like cultural Silicon Valley, you think Apple, Facebook, Google, Yahoo. Yeah. But Apple's not. Apple's in the they're not in the they're in the hardware business.
Right.
They're not even in the software business. Like Microsoft is in the software business. So, but it's interesting the way he thought of the company is like, and it's true. Apple is sort of omnipresent. It is a giant cultural Silicon Valley and now international brand. So,
and I think too, like, definitely on Steve Jobs' radar, what he did with iTunes with the music industry, he definitely wanted to replicate that kind of model in the television industry.
Exactly.
And I think that the difficulty is that these networks, long generations of people owning these networks, they're not going to let loose of the control. And so I think what was difficult for Steve when he was around was getting the content, like getting the licensing or getting the access to the content. And I don't think they're going to in that time, they weren't going to let go of it that easy.
No.
Now that we see, you know, the Netflix of the world evolving, like, you know, if Steve Jobs was around now, I think he would have more of a deeper penetration in that space.
He would. I mean, I think that the fact that I think they were working on that because look, don't get twisted. Like iTunes made strong, you know, inroads in that already. You can get every TV show on iTunes,
right? Every
movie on iTunes. Like you can get anything you want on iTunes, but the streaming is a piece, right?
Right.
It's streaming, it's the availability, it's the delivery windows. So that's the stuff that like the Amazons and the Netflixes and the Hulus and the Rokus are fighting over.
Exactly.
And Apple sort of you're not left in the dust on that.
Right.
But we'll see where they even Microsoft has sort of given up on that with their whole Zune situation.
Yeah. I think what was cool too is that, I mean, I think Steve Jobs, he wanted to own the living room experience.
Right.
And so you have your computer, that's the office experience or whatever. You take that with your laptop, wherever, but what the Apple TV 2 will be the living room experience. Everything that you need for your entertainment purposes on that device. And he wanted to be that top guy, the top product for that. So I think it's cool that he had that vision, you know, years ago. Of course. And we see this emergence now.
Well, I think the super irony in all of this is that, Steve Jobs' main competitor his whole life been Bill Gates and Microsoft, Apple, Microsoft. And so I think that there was, it was a lot of times, most of the time, it was sort of Microsoft trying to copy and emulate Apple's OS systems and service and everything. But when Microsoft jumped out ahead with the Xbox, it was always the intention not only to make a game console, but to own the living room.
Right.
That was Microsoft's thing as well. And the other irony is that Microsoft also developed, the Kinect, which is the close to the Magic Wand situation.
Exactly.
And now it's even improved, even better on the Xbox One. And the Xbox One is that whole one-box living room experience. Now, it doesn't include the hardware of a television, but it does include that. So there's a weird thing there where, it feels like once Steve Jobs passed away, Microsoft was able to come up and really establish a foothold in that.
That's exactly what happened.
So it'll be interesting to see if the post Steve Jobs Apple can come back and reestablish that, because my living room is already an Apple living room, right? Like when watch the game tonight, I'll have the iPad, I'll have the phone, I'll have the computer, all Apple products. So I'll already have an Apple living room, but how do we translate that experience? So I think Apple's smart and they'll figure that out. But we'll see what happens.
Last note, I think it's time for our Apple TV 2. It's been a while since we've had this one. So.
Yeah, that one's cool. We both own it. Well, speaking of geniuses who are ahead of companies, this one's alive. Jeff Bezos and the gang have announced their own version of Apple TV or Roku or whatever, and they called it Amazon Fire. Amazon Fur. And I'm mixed on this one because I'm excited. I'm kind of like a Bezos guy. I like even though he scares me too, with his drones and delivery systems and buying the post office and whatever else he's doing, controlling grocery stores, like whatever he's doing it all. But and killing Barnes and Nobles and everything stuff that they've done. However, I do like the idea of where he's going in the content creation business, the content delivery business. And I like the idea that he's taking it out of the sort of software and delivery service and coming into the hardware business.
Right.
Now, whether the technology is any good and whether it works right, we'll see. But I like the idea of this box very similar to an Apple TV that you can have all of your Amazon Prime content on and do all that stuff. And they've added extra bonus. You can have a video game console, or it's a controller. So what they want is, speaking of the whole living room, they want the one box.
They want to own the living room too.
I mean, what do you think of this?
I mean, like, I have some ambivalence with it. Like, just design wise, I don't think it's that hot. Number one. Two,
what you want is a black box.
I mean, but revolutionize. Don't emulate Apple TV.
Apple TV, yeah.
Like, the remote looks archaic. Like,
the remote's terrible.
It's horrible. So I mean, I read an article saying that Amazon doesn't really release its hardware numbers. Like, it doesn't release what it's done with the Kindle. And I don't know essentially how profitable or how competitive that is to other tablets. So we'll see, like, as it relates to this. Like, I don't see myself buying this over an Apple TV or a Chromecast. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this that's gonna make me want to come over to their territory.
Well, the video game piece may. I mean, I own a Chromecast. I own Apple TV. It sounds ridiculous, really redundant for me to go buy this as well. And with an Xbox and all, like, how many devices do you need? However, I am intrigued. You know, the price point to me is low enough, but we'll see what that whole delivery system. I feel like
Do you think the price point is low enough? It's $100.
Well, Apple TV is $100.
Okay. Get an Apple TV.
Roku's $50. Google Chromecast is $30.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm interested to see how this whole how the Amazon ecosystem,
Right.
Sort of content ecosystem develops. And I don't want to, as an Amazon Prime member, you know, with Amazon Fresh groceries being delivered, with drones dropping off books in my crib, like, you know, I'm looking, they got TV pilots going, like, I don't, you know, maybe it's all in one box. Maybe I press a button and
your groceries,
my groceries are delivered. Press another button, I get a book on my Kindle. Who knows? I mean, on my iPad now. I shouldn't say Kindle because I don't want. And I will say that what you mentioned about the lack of disclosure of hardware. This is actually an interesting trend that Netflix does a very similar thing where they drop these shows like House of Cards, whatever. They don't release the numbers.
no analytics.
No, it's like, yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah, we're killing it.
We're killing it, and they could be killing it. They could not be killing it, but apparently they're spending $200 million on House of Cards. It's got to be worth it because it's all like HBO. It's all about subscriptions, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing with Amazon Prime. $100 people are subscribing.
Right.
They don't really need. They're not in the business of hardware. So the hardware, the Kindle, and this device here are delivery services for their content business.
Absolutely.
So that's almost like a throwaway.
True that. I think too, like, you know, we're Apple loyalists based on, you know, what devices we have. But if you're an Amazon loyalist, it's perfect for you.
Yeah.
It's perfect because, hey, you already have a Kindle. Might as well get this too. I shop on Amazon all day. I'm Amazon Prime, whatever. So it makes sense for you. It makes sense for, you know, their consumer base to have this product.
Stephen Lemieux's not here. I'm curious what he has to say about this because he's a big Amazon Prime guy.
Gotcha.
Marissa, are you Amazon Prime person?
No, I'm a Netflix person.
All right. so you know, are you excited about this at all? Do you care about the Amazon? Does this do anything for you at all?
No, not really.
All right, sweet. All right. Let's move on to another box that's trying to dominate everything and all things is back to Microsoft and the Xbox. And you know, we've been talking a lot about Xbox. Ironically an Xbox loyalist because, you know, Apple doesn't have a console, but you know, we had the big launch early in the year. Again, we talked a lot about this PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One and how it's doing. When Titanfall got released, there was a whole another surge. Yeah. So Xbox now is saying that, you know, we're prepping for E3, and E3 is going to be amazing.
E3 2014.
E3 2014, and we're going to win. We're going to win this thing based on why we always win is we have the best games.
Absolutely.
We have the best platform for you to play these games. We will have the best games. Titanfall is an example of that. By the time it's all said and done up to E3, you know, and beyond in 14 and 15, we will win this thing.
Yeah.
I believe them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I believe them too. I think, like, if I had to place my bet, it's definitely with Xbox.
Yes.
And you know, I went to E3 last year, and like the games that were released last year were dope. Like, and so I think this year with these new platforms, like, it's going to be even more expansive, and it's just going to be more just awesome. Like, the awesomeness is going to be super high.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm
super excited, needless to say, because I'm an Xbox guy. All right. Let's move on to this is this is kind of all video game related, kind of loosely video game related, based on the fact Amazon Fire has video game. This is video game. I want to talk about the Cortana system for Windows because it is more that's for your phone,
right? But
it's also, you know, kind of it's Windows 8 Windows Phone answer to Siri.
Exactly. Or I think it's Google Now.
Or Google Now.
Yeah.
But it's you know, for me, I'm a big Halo person, and Cortana is from Halo,
right.
So it's a very good idea for Windows and Microsoft to bring this AI that was an AI in
the game
to life. But and you know, she's dressed very nice. But supposedly there's a lot of things that this can do that Siri can't.
Yeah. I think it's intuitive. I think Siri, like the article said something like you could ask Siri. Cortana a question, and she'll throw some humor into it.
Right.
Like she has more personality.
Yes.
And I think that's what's cool. Like it's really like more of a AI execution than Siri. Like it's like you actually kind of interact with it, and it learns based on what you search, what you type, and like you could type in a word and it's gonna learn that and be able to spit back whatever the definition is to you.
Yes.
Like it's more interactive.
Yeah, which seems cool. It's actually like the real Cortana. The more and more she learns, the more she gets get back. And well, Siri, I asked Siri to call me Brazzy. Siri calls me Brazzy. Which I like. I mean, but that's it. It is very robotic. Yes, Brazzy.
Right.
Whereas Cortana is cracking jokes and she's funny and she's cute. But not that this is all about that. We are getting closer to her, closer to the Joaquin Phoenix Spike Jonze movie, Her.
Yeah.
Cortana seems a lot
totally
more
that,
like,
man.
Like I forget her name in that one.
I forgot too.
But
it's definitely like that.
Yeah, it's definitely getting more like her. So that's so we'll see. I mean, I'll never know because I don't have a Windows device.
And you probably never will.
I never will. Unless I make Cortana for the iPhone.
Right.
I'll be listening to Siri call me Brazzy for a long time. All right, let's move on to some nerd culture stuff. Captain America opened this weekend, and I am embarrassed to say I have not seen it.
Man, I haven't seen it. Man, I'm embarrassed to say I haven't been in the movies in like 2 months.
What?
I haven't seen anything.
Your nerd culture game is off.
It's low.
Well, we're in a slow time.
Right.
We were in the Februarys and the horrible time, and now we're just getting to the spring.
Right.
And wrapping up for the summer. This is one of the first big spring/summer joints that are released. And man, I cannot believe how incredibly excited I was for this movie. How the reviews have come back like 90%, 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's solid.
And Thursday night, midnight, I usually go. I didn't go.
Man.
Friday, I had people in town all weekend. I haven't had a chance to go.
Right.
Today is Monday. As of press time, I have not seen it. I guarantee when we come back, I will have seen it.
Oh, me too. I'm probably gonna go tonight.
Okay.
I have nothing to do tonight. So
all right. I may join you on that.
But yeah. Anyway, they're killing at the box office. 100 million the first weekend. Correct.
Yes, 96 million first weekend. 300 million
worldwide
already.
Yeah.
So now that everyone has started doing these worldwide openings, it's great. It didn't quite hit Iron Man, status, which did 128, or Iron Man 2, which did 175, or Iron Man 3, which did 207.
Man, that's crazy.
I'm sorry, 207 was the Avengers.
Right.
Iron Man 3, 175, Iron Man 2, 128. But it beat everybody else.
And I think it beat its first movie.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, the first movie I don't think was that good, in my opinion. But this one is supposed to be, by all accounts, supposed to be great.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Me as well, man. Me as well.
We'll see. Also, in our nerd culture stuff, the Harry Potter spinoff. I mean, J.K. Rowling's. We knew that she said, she's writing. Warner Brothers announced that she's writing this spinoff to the Harry Potter books, which is sort of like it's not really a prequel, but it's based on a book that you see in Harry Potter. It's called The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So they've taken this book and they spun it off. It's supposed to take place like 70 years pre-Harry Potter, but it's not necessarily a prequel.
Right.
But what's been announced is, because when she announced it, it was like, the first film, she's going to write the first film. It was like the first film, but Warner Brothers made it official and said that we are doing 3 films.
Right.
And they're going to be giant, like 3 massive films. Like,
Yeah.
People don't do that. Don't say that.
I mean, we're in the landscape where these type of films come in threes. They come in bundles. So I think we expect it. We expect that to happen. So I get the announcement. Like, it makes sense to me.
It's interesting. I mean, there's only a handful of things you can do that with, and like have a studio say, we're gonna commit to 3 films right now, and they're all gonna be massive. We're gonna spend 250 million plus. We're gonna spend $1 billion on 3 films. That's how confident we are. I mean,
for sure.
Really, it's like Star Wars is the only one that can do. I mean, that's the only franchise and Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, even like these ones they try to launch, like Divergent, they wanted to plan 3 films. The first one kind of tanked.
Or it's escaping me. I think it holds the record right now with 3 films. It's escaping me. Whatever.
Matrix.
Not Matrix.
Indiana Jones.
No, it just came out.
Hunger Games.
Yes, Hunger Games.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, but yeah, it's interesting that with 7 films the Harry Potter films. And was it 7 or 8? Because they split the last one.
I don't recall.
8.
8. Thanks, Marissa. I was going to go to Marissa. I knew you knew.
And Catching Fire split into, or the Hunger Games series is split into 4 movies.
4. So
Out of 3 books.
Right.
They do that old trick, which I hate, by the way.
Super hate.
But it's just it's just par for the course. But so there's no books. There's no source material. She's going to write this directly to the screenplay, and we'll just see how it goes. I mean, I have no reason to believe it'll be anything other than fantastic.
Man, me too.
Based on
her track record.
Yeah, her track record and how she rolls. What else we got? MJ. Your boy Michael Jackson's new album coming out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Are you excited?
Man, like I'm kind of iffy on these type of joints, man. Like, especially where we are with music these days. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just
unpack that. Where we are with music these days.
What I mean by that is, like, production wise, songwriting wise, I feel like everything sounds the same. I feel like there's really not that much creativity being expressed in the music industry. I think you have some of your top guys that's doing dope stuff, but overall I think it's kind of whack, and like they're gonna use some of the same producers like that are making big hits, but
kinda. This is my issue, but I'll let you continue because I have a specific issue.
And then, like, from my understanding, this is MJ's throwaways or outtakes, right? These aren't full songs, but they're gonna make them into full songs. But there's more so like his demos, essentially.
Yeah, I mean they're from the vault.
Yeah, the lost files.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I mean, so they're a combination of ideas.
Right.
They're a combination. There's some full songs that just whatever, but there's some ideas. There's some hooks. There's some things that they feel like, well, he's got some stuff here we can make into something. I mean,
it's like the Tupac model,
right?
Like. When they were doing that right after he died, excellent. It was great. But when they continue to do that years later, it's like it lost value. It's like, so I don't.
Well, because the songs weren't good.
Yeah.
If the songs were good, it wouldn't lose value.
But that's what I'm kind of iffy on with the MJ stuff, because I'm sure if MJ thought the songs were good then, he would have released them.
Right. I mean, maybe, but times change and things change, and whether we see him in a spacesuit joint right there. Captain EO 2014, but it's what he's ahead of his time in some ways. So what may have been not good then, maybe it's good now.
But the last album was terrible. With Akon and will.i.am, that was terrible.
Terrible. Well, so my issue is that it's production choices, producer choices. Like I'm never, God bless will.i.am. I don't need a will.i.am Michael Jackson record. And I've always wanted the thing that bothered me the most is when he's making Invincible, how he had all those Neptune's tracks he had, and he's working with Timbo and Neptunes and all these great producers, and he didn't use any of them.
Right.
They ended up going to make Justin Timberlake's album, basically. Justin Timberlake's first album is all
Michael Jackson throwaways.
Michael Jackson throwaways.
Yeah.
This is kind of my point.
Right.
Michael Jackson threw all those songs away too. Those songs are all hits. And some landed on Usher's record. Like You Don't Have to Call was I think that's a Michael Jackson song. That's great. But so I don't know. To me, it's like some things that maybe he turns in the right hands. But my issue is the producers. Like he's going back to Rodney Jerkins. I know people love Rodney Jerkins. I'm not a Jerkins fan.
He's going back to Timbaland too.
Really?
Yeah, Timbaland's going to be on this album as well.
Okay, well, that makes me feel better.
Justin Timberlake's going to be on the album as well.
Oh, I didn't read that either.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting excited. All right, well, we'll see. Well, we'll see what the production
I don't know, man. Last point, I think, extending his legacy, like, they should do it, but just don't tarnish it by coming up with something whack.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line.
Well, the Michael Jackson Akon collabo is
exactly
not something I was looking forward to. So hopefully they can sort that out. When Flow Rider comes up on the hook, I'll be out. Michael Jackson featuring Pitbull. Anyway, we'll see. All right. So now let's get to what we're geeking out on. What we are in this room loving and geeking out on. Akili, what are you nerding out on right now?
Man, I'm really excited about Game of Thrones. Man, the season premiere was last night. I haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but I am a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I'm really excited to what they're going to be doing this year, this season. And
we're bad nerds, by the way.
I know.
No Game of Thrones.
No movie. No Captain America.
I did watch it last night though.
For sure.
And it's good.
It was hot.
Yeah.
Was there any like super surprises?
I don't know about super surprises. There's definitely some moments.
Okay.
So stay off of Twitter.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't read anything.
Yeah.
Like I've intentionally stayed away because I don't want the spoilers to come out. So.
Well, what I'm geeking out on is Silicon Valley, the new show, the new Mike Judge
I
show.
think that's gonna be hot.
I watched it last night. It premiered last night, and it was fantastic. It was everything I wanted it to be. Mike Judge, to me, I'm a huge fan. I think he has two sides. He's got that, the Beavis and Butthead / King of the Hill side, which is a sort of like rednecky whatever. And then he's got this Office Space side.
Right.
And this could have fall squarely into that Office Space meets Beavis and Butthead, actually.
For sure.
And it's funny. And Mike Judge used to work in Silicon Valley, and he's got a lot of real life tech advisors that know it. And it is spot on. As someone who used to live up there and is connected to it, and it is really, really spot on. Almost too much so. It's so insider that like some of the jokes may not land on people who don't understand it. The space,
yeah.
But it's still funny out on face value. And all these guys are all improv guys, Camille and Johnny and other guys. So like it is it's funny. And
I think it's cool, man. It speaks to where we are as a society, how technology plays such a major role that we have a show like this, and just Silicon Valley as a place, a destination that is on the radar of a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That they create a whole show about this. I mean, the whole archetype of a coder, a programmer, turning into a mogul.
Sure.
Like I think it's cool to see that in this day and age.
And they do these. I agree with you. And they do all these sort of archetypes within archetypes. So like they talk to other programmers. So they call programmers. These like frat boy programmers. They've got the whole VC types, the billionaire rich guys who are just funding stuff, and they kind of make fun of how them. They've got the super CEO, billionaire CEO, like the Steve Jobs type, and they're making fun of that whole thing and how they're a lot of shots at Google, a lot of shots at everything.
Wow.
So the main company is called Huli, which is like Google. Although Google and all those companies are present, but their fake companies are funny. Huli is funny. Just the name's Huli.
That's
it's
super
funny. You got to peep it out. I loved it. I can't recommend it high enough, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. It's 30 minutes. It's quick. It's in and out.
Cool.
Last thing before we get out of here, I just want to touch on. We'll talk about where we are with 3D printing in the world. There's been a lot of sort of discussion, from a legal standpoint as to where it's going. And the reason why I want to talk and bring it up is there's this one article that was in the Harvard Business Journal that dropped talking about where they're saying that an IP lawyer said that 3D printing is about to go thermonuclear.
I believe it.
From an IP, lawyer standpoint.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? I started reading further. But basically, it's the same thing that kind of would happen with smartphones, because you have these devices in your hand where you can get all kinds of content, video and otherwise. So who controls what? What intellectual properties belong to who? How does this all work? 3D printing is 100 times worse because you may create.
You're dealing with manufacturing.
You can create a
resources,
cup.
parts.
I like your cup design. I have 17 of them. Thanks.
Exactly.
I print them at my house.
And you won't get a check.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that design.
Right.
And I don't even need to, now even if it's not about selling them, but I'm sure they will be reproduced and sold. What do you make of this?
It's like photography.
Right.
Like people are using people's photos all over on Instagram, Facebook without their licensing or even their music. The same thing with piracy of anything. But I think with product it's a little different because it's the billions of dollars that go into designing and manufacturing something that a person can now do in their living room or in their garage.
Right.
Like I think that's crazy. Like yes, it makes it more efficient. Yes, it makes it more green, but like over time, you're going to see such a strong effect that it's going to cripple the industry. People are going to lose jobs.
Right.
Like it's not going to be these big companies. It's going to be these essentially mom and pop joints.
Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look at this one. This one freaks me out too. This is just a 3D printing of my
That's a funny
face.
picture.
It's like, but this is a perfect example of what we're talking about of intellectual property. Like, what's coming? We haven't even got to. We always talk about the organic possibilities and printing organs and that stuff, but that's a You make a mini me.
Man,
You know,
show up in the spot with your face on.
and there's more. I think on the next one, you know, this is a New Balance. It's a perfect example. New Balance. Like I like those kicks. Let me go print some. Thanks, New Balance. I win. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really interesting to see where this goes. I think that you know, IP lawyer is going to be very, very, very busy.
But like how? If I have if Keely Shine has a 3D printer in my house, is it going to be regulated? If I want to print your kicks or the new Nikes or whatever, how are they going to regulate it? How?
3D police. What are you printing in there? Do you have a license for that? I don't know.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I think that's it. That's all we got, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add or talk about?
No, man. I think we're good, bro.
All right. Well, I think that's up for us, Marissa. Where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Akili Shine, AKILISHINE. What about yourself,
You
bro?
can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. Joe K. Braswell, Instagram and Twitter, and on our sister station AfterBuzz, doing a bunch of shows. The Americans, Hannibal, Blacklist, Bates Motel, Mad Men, and a bunch of other shows on our sister network, AfterBuzz. Thank you for joining us. Good to be back. We'll see you next week. I promise we will have seen all these movies and watched all the TV shows. Thanks again for listening to Geek Nerd Tech, the show where you get the hottest geek news and nerd culture from a black and brown geek perspective.
There it is.
Almost.
All
right, we'll see you later.
right.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.